Merlin Sports.
Hey everyone, this is Phenomena of Merlin Sports, and joining me today to break down the Stanley Cup Final is D-Dog. D-Dog, how are you doing, sir?
I'm doing well, my friend. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing well. Pretty excited for this rematch we have between the defending Cup champion Florida Panthers and the Western Conference champion Edmonton Oilers. So, as I was teeing that up, this is a rematch of last year's final, which went 7 games and Florida won. And rematches are kind of rare. This is only the fifth rematch of a Stanley Cup final since expansion after the original six ended in 1967. So since 1968, when they opened up an expansion, this is the fifth rematch, which is kind of a rarity. So, last year went 7 games. If you recall, Florida jumped out to a 3-0 lead and kind of dominated Edmonton, and Edmonton kind of found their game and forced it to a game 7, and pretty exciting. And we got the rematch here. So, what do you say we break it down? Because these teams have made some changes since last year, and then also, to get here, they're both on a heater. They both dispatched their conference finals in 5 games. Florida over Carolina in 5, and Edmonton over Dallas in 5. So these teams are red hot. I think this is the matchup we want. This is two best teams. You get a rematch, and they're red hot right now. So just teeing it up there. So what are your thoughts set in the context of this matchup?
Well, you said it. I mean, if we look back at our original previews for the playoffs, neither one of us had Florida getting out of the first round, and I don't think either one of us had Edmonton get out of the first round. But these two teams, they both kind of played possum during the regular season, and yeah, you're right. They're the two best teams in the league. I heard that Connor McDavid told Florida last year in the handshake line that we'll see you next year. So his prophecy came true. Obviously, on paper, I think Florida has the better team. Like, they got more depth. They're stronger throughout their roster. Edmonton might have a better forward lineup, but I think that better forward lineup is mostly because they have the two best players in the series.
Well, sure, yeah. Well, let's look at that. Yeah, we're putting up on the screen here the comparison between Edmonton and Florida, and you got the best player in the world on Edmonton, Connor McDavid, centering that first line. So,
but you got McDavid and you got Draisaitl, right? I mean, arguably two of the top 5 players in the world. Connor's the best player in the world, but Draisaitl's in the top 5. Might be even top 3.
Definitely, I think he has a good shot to win the Hart Trophy this year, and that would be a second Hart Trophy. And
so there's no doubt about it how good he is and how good Connor is. Florida has got more depth, so they got more depth throughout the lineup. Losing Hyman hurts Edmonton for sure. Starting a 40-year-old Corey Perry alongside Connor McDavid now with Hyman.
Very effective. He's been very effective with Corey Perry.
Yeah. I mean, he knows how to find. He's not fast. He can't skate as good as he used to, and he wasn't a great skater to begin with. But he just knows how to put himself in positions to make plays, to score goals, to be effective and create chaos for the
7 goals, by the way, in this year's playoffs. Corey Perry.
Yeah, so he just knows how to find and create the chaos, right? And that's a skill, right? That's a skill. So, but overall, if you look at Florida, they've got depth throughout. Like, they don't have any one great line. I mean, I think Barkov is a fantastic center, defensive player of the year kind of player, and he's got some offensive punch to him as well. but he's not at the level of McDavid or Draisaitl, right?
Yeah, I mean, sure. I mean, I would say, yeah, Florida has more depth. I mean, Brad Marchand's on the third line, and that third line really was really strong in the last two series and overpowered the other team's third line in matchup wise. Marchand, Lundell, and Listerine, and that's a handful right there.
Definitely.
I just think there's more top end talent in Edmonton's lineup. So, and I think Evander Kane is healthier this time around than he was last year. So
he's impactful. Like he's been very impactful. He throws his weight around. You know, Bichel in the Dallas series was kind of pushing people around, and Kane kind of stuck up with him and got himself in the way. And he's a big boy too, so it helps.
So overall, who are you giving the edge on for the forward group overall?
I think Edmonton, just because of the two guys, right, are just better than anybody else Florida can throw out there. And those two guys are dangerous, and they make other players around them better, right? McDavid's scary just on the ice, like, and if he's skating, like, no one can skate with that guy, and he thinks as fast as he skates, right? He sees everything that's happening. He can change. He thinks as fast as he can skate, and that's a scary kind of player.
When he gets a full head of steam going, he can't be stopped. There's no one that can stop him. There's no team. So you're giving the edge to Edmonton, the Oilers, and I will give the edge to Edmonton just because they have the two best players, and they have revenge on their mind. So I think I give Edmonton the edge on offense. So let's look at their defense now, and as we put that up on the screen, and we know Ekholm came back game 3 against Dallas, so he's back on Edmonton's D-core. So it's interesting. I think both teams, their defense has been playing really well, and getting Ekholm back helps the Oilers defense, and they probably have the most offensive defenseman in Evan Bouchard. But I like the size of Florida's D, and adding Seth Jones, I think, really shored up that D-core as well. I like that Mikkola guy too. That guy's huge.
Yeah,
you have some tower. Yeah, you have some towers on that defense.
Ekblad's not small either, man.
Yeah,
he's a big boy.
Jones, between Seth Jones, Ekblad, and Mikkola, they're all at least 6'4". So you have 3 defensemen 6'4" or above, and then you have Gustav Forsling as like just a steady go-to defenseman. As we look at the pairings here, and even their third pair, which is like, if as long as your defense doesn't make mistakes, they don't have to be on the score sheet. But actually, Florida, I think, had goals from every defenseman in this playoffs so far. So,
well, their defensemen have a knack for jumping into the play, like keeping the puck in the zone and being in that play. So they've been very effective that way. There's no doubt about it from that standpoint. And so that's the thing people will say about it is, their defense, I think, are better defensively. If you had to question something about Edmonton's defense, and in the LA series, sometimes in the Vegas series, they got a little bit, out of position and were exposed vulnerability. But in terms of, you said offensively, Bouchard's the best offensive defenseman. Florida's just got a better all-around solid core. If Edmonton's forechecking, Florida, they're more adept to handling it, and I think that's part of the key to this series. How well Edmonton handles the forecheck of Florida, because that's what Florida does. They lean on you. They're heavy. And if Edmonton can move the puck fast, then Florida can't get settled into having those long stretches in their zone. I mean, that's what happened to the Leafs. They got running around in the zone against Florida. Carolina, the same thing, right? And so you can't get bogged down in your zone against Florida, because they pounce on mistakes, and they don't waste their chances. You make a mistake, they pounce on it, they score, right? So that's the challenge for Edmonton's defensive core. I think they played really well. I think last year I remember people talking about Darnell Nurse, like he's overpaid, he's like horrible and whatever. Darnell's had a great playoffs. He's been fantastic. Really solid back there defensively. He's had some offensive opportunities as well, but he's been really strong defensively. Even Bouchard, who's, that's part of the reason why he didn't make the Four Nations team. They questioned his defense. He's had a very good defensive playoffs. Like, he's been very good in his own end. Not great, not perfect, but he's been very good in his own end, right? So, but if you ask me who's the edge, I'd give Florida the edge. I think they have top of their 6. They got 6 better defensemen than Edmonton has, right? I mean, that's some good guys, and getting Ekholm back helps them, because and he's fresh because he hasn't played a lot.
Right, and I will agree with that. I think overall, Florida, the 6-man unit, defensive unit that Florida puts out is of better quality. So, taking all 3 pairs into consideration. I think they're steady, they're big. They kind of keep it simple, and they're effective. And the numbers show that, and take into account, I mean, in Edmonton's victories, they've been outstanding defensively as well. But I'll give Florida the edge on defense, and you do as well. So now we get into the goaltending, where we know what we're getting with Florida with Bob Bobrovsky. He started every game this playoffs and has been steady and effective, bend but do not break, and it's been a quality goaltender once again. And then, interesting on the Edmonton side, Stuart Skinner has, in the wins and in the bounce back games, he's been amazing. And in the games where he wasn't so good, which is they dispatched Dallas in 5, and they dispatched Vegas in 5, so he hasn't, since the first round, he hasn't had too many bad games. But there is he is more likely to have a bad game than Bobrovsky, I would say. What do you think of?
He's the X factor, right? Like, you don't know what Skinner you're gonna get. If he's in the right frame of mind, he can play really well. But you're right, he can get let in a couple bad goals, doesn't make the saves he should have. Bob will make the save, right? If they need an X save, he's going to make the save. You don't know what Skinner, right? I don't know if Pickard's going to be back for the final. He's been out since the first round, but you have that struggle, right? Of which Skinner you're going to get, as you said, right? And he's looked good this year, but I also think the fact that the Edmonton defense has helped him, right? There's not been a lot of goals that you say, oh, he should have stopped, right? There's been some good goals against him, but he hasn't given up a lot of. His goals against average is 141 in the playoffs after the first 2 games, right? Like for the rest of the playoffs since the first 2 games, and I think in the wins it's 141, right? He hasn't been great in the losses, but and the LA series, I don't want to say it was an aberration, but there was a lot of goals scored in that series, right? I mean,
the
first game was like high flying, right?
Oh, to come up off the mat too, like Edmonton did, I think it looked like they were going to be done for, especially they didn't have home ice advantage, and they always say you're never in trouble till you lose at home, and that held true because Edmonton just rolled from Game 3 onwards. As soon as they got home and found their game, they were unstoppable. And then if you look at Dallas, that Game 1 that they lost, and they took a 3-1 lead into the third period, and just and then the wheels fell off. I mean, that could have easily been a sweep. Series.
Well, I think that Game 1 definitely showed the vulnerability of Edmonton at times. But I'd probably give more Dallas credit. I mean, they kind of won that game the way they won Game 7 against Colorado. Colorado was up 2-0, and then Dallas got on the heater and just won the game. And I can't blame and I don't think Blackwood played badly, and I don't think Skinner played badly. It's just that Dallas got hot. Rantanen gets hot, scores a hat trick like in Game 7, right? So, but for the first 2 periods, they owned them, right? And then I think they let the foot off the gas, and Dallas took advantage, right? But then they found their game in Game 2. They focused. They got that game done, and then after that, it was clear sailing, right? I mean, they were never in doubt, but yeah.
Okay, so we're both saying Bobrovsky. We give the edge to Florida with Bobrovsky in that.
Yep.
Now, what about the coaching? We have Paul Maurice and Chris Knoblauch going head to head again, and that's not an easy feat to get back to the finals.
Well, I think they both have very good coaches. I don't think there's an edge either way. I think both coaches know how to pull the strings of their team, which is what a coach needs to be able to do, and they have the respect of the locker room, which is also important. Strategy wise, there's not much you can adjust, right? I give Maurice credit for being able to rally his team down 2-0 against Toronto, almost lost Game 3 to go down 3-0. They came back. They won. They won the next 3. They won the next 3 to go up 3-2. They got punched in the stomach, in Game 6 at home. He rallies them back to win Game 7. He didn't really have to do much in the Carolina series. He didn't have to do much in the Tampa series. But he knows how to pull the strings of his team, right? He knows what his team needs. So from that standpoint, he's the right coach for that team. Knoblauch is the same thing. He knows how to pull the strings of his team. That's a good coaching job what he did to get them back focused after blowing that 3-1 lead against
Dallas.
Dallas, the last round, right? And it's a good coaching job to get through that Game 3 against the Kings, right? Because they could have easily been in trouble there too, going down 0-3. But they found, right? So he knows how to pull the strings. He knows, like, he started off the playoffs with Draisaitl and McDavid on the same line. He changed it up. He's moved them off separate lines now because he felt that he needed to balance out the scoring. Mm-hmm. So I don't think there's an edge. I think they're fairly even. If you want to give the edge to Maurice because he's won the Stanley Cup, I think he's won 2, if I'm not mistaken. Like, he's won before, but I'm pretty sure he did.
No, I think that was his first one last.
Yeah. But he's gotten the Florida into 3 straight finals, right?
Yeah, this will be the 3rd straight. I mean, you make some good points, and Knoblauch also pulling the goalie, and those are gutsy moves to do that. I just think I give Maurice the edge because he's been with his team longer, and I think he has more of that trust. And his imprint is all over the team. Like he's got his finger on the pulse, and I think just that continuity, I think that gives him the edge. But I'd say it's close, right? Because Knoblauch, like you said, he's pulled the right strings as well. So I'd give Maurice a slight edge, but not by much. And I guess we'll see after this. After this series. I may want to reconsider. Okay, so now that we kind of broken down and did some comparisons, so now it's time to pick a winner. So, who are you going with?
I'm gonna take the Edmonton Oilers in 5 games.
Wow.
And here's why. I looked at the series last year. Florida jumped out a 3-0 series lead. Edmonton dominated him for the last 3 games. And then in the game 7, Florida locked down again 1-2-1. Florida didn't play badly. Edmonton just dominated them. And I think Edmonton found a few things against their team, the way Florida plays. They found their rhythm of how Florida plays. And they've been on a mission since that last year. They understood that they couldn't just go all out during the regular season. And everybody was having them limping to the playoffs to lose to the Kings. There's been, you mentioned about teams with the rematch. There's been, I read today, 7 teams or 8 teams, but I think it's 7 that lost the first 2 games of the playoffs, got to the Stanley Cup final, and they won it. And a couple of them were rematches. And those rematches, the team that lost the previous year won it. So Pittsburgh lost, and they won their rematch, right, against Detroit.
Right.
But Edmonton dominated the 3 games they won. And they weren't close. I mean, they blew them at 8-1 one game. They have something on Bobrovsky that I'm not sure Bobrovsky can figure out. And they have great, like I said, nobody can skate with McDavid. If he gets going, and he just won the 4 Nations, so this will be a culmination for the season for him, winning the 4 Nations and winning a Stanley Cup.
Right.
Who do you got, man?
All right. I am picking the Edmonton Oilers, but I'm going to say in 6 games because, Florida, it'll be hard to put down. But I just I think just McDavid's got that look about him. It's all business, getting back here and getting revenge. And I don't think he's going to rest until he has the cup. And I just think that it's McDavid's time to win. And yeah, because they played last year, right? So Florida isn't going to spook them like they have, like they did Carolina, and Carolina completely overmatched and overwhelmed. It's Edmonton knows what to expect now, and I think they're going to use that experience learned, and I think they're going to take it. So we're going to see. I think we will see the Stanley Cup return to Canada in a long time since. Yeah.
It's your second favorite team, the Canadiens, right?
Yeah, since the 92-93 Montreal Canadiens. Yeah. Okay, well, yeah, so we're both picking the Oilers. You in 5 and myself in 6. Okay, well, let the Stanley Cup Finals begin. Yeah. So thanks, D-Dog, for taking the time, as always, and can't wait to have a beer and watch these games.
Yeah, absolutely. Take care, my friend.
Okay, thanks. Bye.